Austin say Jenna tried to purchase alcohol using someone else's ID.
According to investigators, it happened at a Chewy's restaurant last night. The manager actually called 911, saying minors were trying to buy alcohol.
And when officers showed up, they were told that Jenna, who is the blonde you see here, tried to get drinks by showing somebody else's ID. Sister Barbara on the left, the brunette, was with her but did not show any identification. Because no Austin police officer saw what allegedly happened, the department says there have been no charges and that more investigation is needed.
Jenna and Barbara are 19. The legal drinking age is 21. Just last month, Jenna was cited for possession of alcohol after getting caught at a bar on 6th Street. She pleaded no contest and was ordered to pay just over $51 in court costs, do 8 hours of community service, and attend 6 hours of alcohol awareness classes.
The White House isn't commenting on any of this, saying it's a private family matter. Now, while Jenna Bush has not been charged in this latest incident, another teen is talking about what happened to him.
Tonight, 11 News reporter Jeremy Diesel has more on the crime and punishment.
To many teens, this is pure temptation.
I pretty much just drank to go out and party with my buddies and, hang out. Wasn't really nothing to it, really.
Nothing to it till this 18-year-old got caught, sentenced to probation, community service, alcohol awareness classes.
The classes do work, And,
Didn't work for you?
Well, no, not the first time, but now it does.
He got caught not once, but twice. The TABC is trying to educate teens with an aggressive advertising campaign about the law, emphasizing the suspension of driving privileges even with a first offense.
Some people, it takes sending them a stronger message than others to get your point across. Sometimes it depends on how strongly the parents are involved.
TABC investigators spend more than half their time trying to enforce the drinking age laws. And some teens will try almost anything. The people that work behind the bar have seen it all.
You see, anything from a paper USO ID or an Army badge or a permit. You see a pretty good array of strange ones.
The TABC has a pretty good collection.
Flea market IDs, altered driver's license.
Fake IDs, the list goes on and on. But with all this education, the laws on the books, thousands of teens still offend, many more than once. This 18-year-old says he won't fall a third time, for a simple reason.
How much time and money you think this whole thing's cost you so far?
Way too much. Way too much, especially for what I make.
Maybe that's the lesson no sign could teach.
Now, last year in Texas, more than 15,000 teenagers lost their driver's licenses for being convicted of minors in possession. That ranges in possible punishments from 30 days license suspension for a first offense to a 6-month suspension for a third offense. But not everybody actually loses their license in these cases. For example, Jenna Bush, when she pled no contest, did not lose her driver's license. Back to you guys.
Still an open system there.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Yep.
There's a new statewide effort, actually, that started today to slow underage drinking. You see, fake IDs are seized all over Texas every single day. You saw a big pile there and also in Jeremy's story. But authorities say that those using them don't know all the facts.
Like the fact that alcohol is blamed for traffic accidents that caused the deaths of 349 young people here in Texas in 1999, and the fact that teen drinking gets worse in the summer months, when up to 10 deaths a day are attributed to the effects of the drug. These numbers come from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Other news tonight also involves a teen. Fort Bend ISD police say they have caught the person who vandalized Willow Ridge High School with an SUV last month. Investigators say 19-year-old Elias Ibarra plowed through the back doors of the school, drove down the hallway, and then crashed through the front doors. Ibarra is charged with unauthorized use of a vehicle and also theft.
An Austin jury has returned a guilty verdict in the Austin yogurt shop murders. A West Virginia man was convicted of killing one of the 4 teenage girls found bound and gagged in the burned-out shop in 1991. The punishment phase for Robert Burns Springsteen, the nation's in the 4th capital murder trial, begins tomorrow. Jurors could sentence him to life in prison or death. 2 other suspects are still awaiting trial on capital murder charges.
A decision Timothy McVeigh is expected to make tomorrow could lead to another execution delay for him. McVeigh will either ask his attorneys to try to block his June 11th date with death or tell them he wants the sentence to be carried out, as he said all along. McVeigh has admitted bombing the Murrah Federal Building in Oklahoma City. 168 men, women, and children died. Hundreds were hurt. His scheduled execution earlier this month was postponed after the stunning revelation that the FBI had withheld some 4,000 documents from the defense before the trial. And now there are claims by a former FBI agent that information he uncovered while working the case still has not been turned over to McVeigh's attorneys.
Mayor Lee Brown wants to let private contractors bid on fixing potholes in a pilot program here in Houston within the next few months. The idea is that if the private sector gets involved, then maybe contractors could do the jobs better, faster, and cheaper. But some city officials point out that a lot of Houston's current problems with current potholes and water leaks can be traced back to private contractors. Rough roads are also causing trouble tonight in Liberty County. People living near Dayton have hired an attorney to sue county commissioners. 11 News reporter Jason Whiteley shows us why.
You just expect some things to be different in the country.
We're in the millennium. We're not in the horse and buggy days.
But folks outside Dayton say they never expected so many rough roads.
You work 20 years, you try to buy a nice home, and this is what you get with your tax dollars. Nothing.
These roads used to be paved, you can tell by looking at it, but residents say the county rarely maintained them over the years. Potholes grew, dust gathered, and taxpayers' patience dwindled. Dozens of them hired an attorney to sue the county. Lawyers say this petition will be filed next week. It accuses county commissioners of failing to maintain the roads and repair potholes with tax dollars. Folks say despite all the dust and dirt, their cars get worn out, school buses bounce kids all around, and ambulances sometimes have to sacrifice seconds when they drive on these rough roads. This issue has clearly ignited tempers on both sides. Watch what happened to us.
Fella, get that damn thing.
This man works for the county. So does this guy. Here's one of the county commissioners.
Hey, we trying to do a job here. We ain't got time to talk to y'all.
We found a crew working on one street.
How many other roads are going to be fixed, you figure?
Well, whatever our budget will allow.
Any idea how many roads?
Maybe 5-6 miles
Of 135 miles?
of 185.
Residents also complain that county commissioners gave themselves raises
They hadn't had a pay raise in 3 years.
instead of using the money to repair the roads. The county says it is preparing to pave this street next week. But with so many left to go, folks in Liberty County say they had no choice but to go to court, fearing the conditions on these country roads will worsen before they improve. Jason Whiteley, 11 News.
Attorney Charles Potts says he'll ask a court to make the county pay for drops in property value and any damage to vehicles.
A father is worried tonight a Little League is not playing fair when it comes to picking the equivalent of an all-star team in Dickinson. 11 News reporter Sherman Chow has the allegations being batted back and forth.
Baseball, an all-American game. Hey! Though perhaps not all the time.
There you go. That's the way to throw, son.
Meet 7-year-old Joshua Hobbs, Dickinson Little League player.
When you hit a home run, it's especially fun.
He's got the second best batting average on his team, but still didn't make the All-Stars.
Upset.
So are Josh's parents, who protested.
What they said was, this is politics, you can call it good old boy, whatever you want to call it, but that's the way things are.
So they filed formal complaints with the league, wondering why boys with significantly lower batting averages were chosen instead. Josh's dad, who played in segregated leagues, fears race is also a factor.
I basically experienced it, and I promised myself that I would never let my kids experience the same thing I did.
The Special Games or All-Star team was chosen from the 4 regular season teams and theoretically represent the dozen or so best players.
League officials counter offensive stats don't tell the whole story.
Defensively, attitude, and, all of that goes into the selection process.
Ultimately, coaches make the subjective choice. As for the race question, the league points to its 9-year-old all-star team.
And 2 of them are Afro-American children.
But politics?
There's politics everywhere, if you want to call it that.
Including in Little League here?
I guess. I think that's kind of a trick question. I'm sure there are some politics.
Which leaves some crying foul. Sherman Chow, 11 News.
Now, since district officials have upheld Dickinson's all-star team selection process, the Hobbs are now appealing to state officials.
Are you wondering when you're going to get your tax rebate check. We have the scoop.
Oh, I want to hear that. Plus, the 11 News Defenders have a consumer alert to keep you from being taken for a ride that actually could be deadly.
And how do you like to be driving and see this? Yes, it's tornado season in Texas.
Plus, is any place in the state protected from the search for oil and gas?
In the spirit of Texas, with Greg Hurst and Lisa Ferranda, you're watching 11 News at 10.
The check is not exactly in the mail, but those tax rebate checks Congress and the President approved are really coming. The Treasury Department says they'll start mailing them in July. Single filers could get up to $300, married couples up to $600.
As America consumes more and more energy is being used to look for oil and natural gas. But is any place sacred, off limits to drilling? 11 News reporter Dave Failing takes a look in tonight's Up Close report.
The Texas wilderness. A place to find peace and quiet. And oil? The Bush administration wants to open more federal land to oil and gas exploration.
George Bush right now is drilling for natural gas in the White House lawn. Listen to this.
It's no joke, though, for environmentalists who fear what drilling would do to some of the nation's most pristine areas. With that in mind, we wanted to look at what 80 years of oil drilling have already done to southeast Texas.
Certainly there is a legacy.
Guy Grossman works for the state, but his photo collection won't make it into any Texas tourism brochures.
This is right off of 1960 up there at Humble.
In the Houston region, he's in charge of the state's efforts to plug and clean up abandoned oil wells.
This pit contains oil and salt water.
A project that since 1984 has cost over $65 million and is only half done. In the Houston area alone, the state targeted 2,000 abandoned wells as potentially dangerous, some having already polluted well water. Through the years, it seems there have been few places around Houston that haven't been drilled for oil. In the mid-1970s, they even proposed opening up Memorial Park for oil exploration.
I'm talking about the maximum of wells. We don't know how many.
6 sites. Even with everyone going crazy over oil in those boom days, there was much opposition. The city eventually told the oil companies to look elsewhere. They didn't have to go far.
There's been probably a couple hundred over the last 30 or 40 years.
Bill Floyd.
Howdy. I'm Tim Bigler, District Ranger.
And Tim Bigler.
What you got going today?
Are rangers in the Sam Houston National Forest, 40 miles north of the city. Here, oil drilling is not only permitted, it can't be refused. The oil company wants to drill here. You can't tell them not to.
No, but we work with them to do it in the most environmentally sensitive way we can.
Though federal land now, this was once privately owned, and those owners still legally retain the rights to the oil and gas.
You can coexist and do it correctly. That it doesn't have to be go and just take. They do have more sensitivity.
That said, there nonetheless have been problems.
Actually, this site caught on fire about 5 years ago.
The scorched trees grew back around the well, which on this day was being flushed out. The wastewater would be vacuumed up. But that wasn't the case at another well site nearby.
And they probably spilled a couple thousand gallons, and it killed all the trees in the area.
A couple thousand gallons of salt water that was unleashed from deep underground by the drilling. The salt water killed virtually anything green that it touched. But since that accident several years ago, crews cleaned it up and planted new vegetation.
With time, it rehabs very well.
Drilling for oil is by its very nature a dirty business. And while many more safeguards are required now than decades ago, bringing crude to the surface will always leave its mark. Dave Failing, 11 Up Close.
One of the largest areas in the state damaged by oil drilling is near the town of Big Lake over in West Texas. Saltwater from decades of drilling left 7,000 acres barren.
All right, last night's severe storms did some damage and created a lot of fear near White Deer in the Texas Panhandle. Take a look at this. Home video is showing the tornado touching down, destroying one home and also a grain elevator. No one was hurt, but a highway was closed for several hours because so many power lines fell. Also reported a lot of hail, some of it the size of baseballs. Well, we've seen a few clouds, but lately that's about it. Just a lot of sunshine and another pretty nice night on tap, although it is a warm one. However, we do have a pretty cool breeze outside, which is making things at least bearable out there. So if you like it hot and muggy, Dr. Neil Frank says that you should love the forecast. Doc?
And it is muggy out there, dew points in the 70s, and that's what our weather board is showing here tonight. Dew points in the low to mid 70s, that summer-like moisture, temperature in the low 80s, southeast winds 15, and they've been gusty during the afternoon, so seas running 4 to 5 feet, so a little bit rough off the open coast here. Here's the thunderstorm that we were watching last night, a tornado watch area included that one that occurred just east of Amarillo. And as we put the radar into motion, you'll see all of this severe weather move across Oklahoma. And then tonight, more severe weather is developing to the northwest of Dallas. A pretty good thunderstorm right now to the west of Stevensville and one to the northwest of Dallas. And we have severe thunderstorm watch areas. That's what the yellow boxes would indicate. And we'll be watching to see if some of these thunderstorms will make their way towards southeast Texas and pass through here sometime early tomorrow morning. The reason for the thunderstorms is we have a new front that is moving into the northern part of the state. The storm center itself is just above the map. I'll give you a better look at that in a minute. And you can see those thunderstorms are developing along and near the front. South of the front, southerly winds, very warm temperatures today in the 90s. How about a 92 degrees up at Bush this afternoon? That makes it the warmest temperature that we've experienced so far, and that is 5 degrees above normal. 86 on the island is 3 degrees above normal. Now let's take a look at the broader look, and there's that storm center that I was telling you about. It was in northeastern New Mexico last night. You can see it making progress across Kansas and into the northwest corner of Missouri. It's going to slow down a little bit as it continues to move off to the northeast, and very chilly temperatures for this time of the year. North of the front, 60s and 70s. South of the front, temperatures in the 90s. And down in Mexico, 88 degrees at Acapulco, about normal for this time of year. And the reason we went back to normal temperatures is because our big hurricane is moving towards the west. And as it does move towards the west, you'll see that it is becoming a lot better or less well organized, and it's shrinking in size. Barely a hurricane at this time. No problem for you if you've got travel plans into the resort areas west of Acapulco. Here's what's going to happen. This storm system will continue to move off to the northeast. Don't think the front is going to go through here, but it could get close enough tomorrow and Friday to enhance the thunderstorms, and that's what our forecast would suggest. In the morning, we may even see some of those morning showers. That's what we had this morning. Then in the afternoon, let's call it a 50% chance of afternoon and evening thunderstorms, and some of those could be strong. Thunderstorms again on Friday afternoon, drying out a bit as we move into Saturday and Sunday. So we may see some thunderstorms around here tomorrow afternoon.
We'll have the umbrellas ready. Thanks, Doc.
A consumer investigation with a serious impact.
How do you know if your car is really equipped with airbags? The 11 News defenders have uncovered a car repair scam that could potentially have some very deadly consequences.
Consumer reporter Eileen Faxis wants you to be alert for dummy airbags or even no airbags at all.
It was full speed ahead in Tulane Noble's used Honda Accord until a fender bender triggered the airbag light. And when it wouldn't unlight, she took it to a mechanic and...
I was flabbergasted.
The airbags in her car didn't work.
We found that, in fact, this is out of a 98 through 2000 Civic, so this is not even the correct part for your car.
It's a dangerous scam Sam Massey says he sees more of every day.
These airbags would not work properly, 100% for sure. This is a stinker.
After a car crash, crooked mechanics stuffed steering wheels and dashboards with everything from wrong airbags to packing peanuts to empty beer cans. Anything that's cheaper than the right airbag.
Every auto insurer in the United States will pay to replace with a new airbag if an airbag is damaged or if an airbag goes off.
We're talking up to $3,000 per bag. If mechanics don't replace one, they pocket that money, and you'd never know by looking. Experts recommend your mechanic inspect the safety equipment on a used car before you buy it. Plus, you can research a car's crash history through a title check service. Tulane Noble is doing a little research of her own, trying to find who installed dummy airbags in her car, almost bringing her to a dead stop.
I was frightened for all of the miles that I had covered in the car with my family and myself and my friends.
2.5 million cars were involved in crashes last year in the U.S., 1 million of them returning to the road, and no one knows how many could have dummy airbags. Airbag fraud is now one of the worst scams out there. If you've been hit by a scam or need defending, Call our 11 News Defenders BBB hotline at 713-341-6143. Our volunteers take your calls weekdays 9 to 4. All of us here to help you. I'm Eileen Faxis, 11 News Defenders.
Will the Astros ever get it in gear?
I don't know. Up next, another shot at ending the long losing streak.
The Astros trying to shake things up prior to Game 2 in San Diego tonight. They announced Jose Lima will move to the bullpen as the youngster Roy Oswalt will start this Saturday against the Dodgers at Enron Field. They are trying to snap an 8-game slide, so more of a shake-up with the lineup. Craig Biggio back in the leadoff spot, and he delivers with the home run in the first inning. But the Astros' nemesis, Ryan Klesko, does it again, takes Wade Miller deep to right in the bottom half of the first, making it 2-1 Pods. Then the Astros started ripping the ball in the second, and when Moises Alou hit it deep to left, the Astros had scored 5 in the inning, and right now they lead San Diego 6-4 that game in the 4th inning. Over in Cincy, swinging Sammy Sosa christened Cincinnati's new ballpark with a 2-run dinger deep over the left field wall. He got all that one. It was Sosa's 15th home run of the year as the Cubs beat the Reds 3-1 for their 10th straight victory. At Fenway in Boston, what a pitching matchup. The Sox Pedro Martinez against Mike Mussina of the Yanks. Pedro was nasty tonight as he struck out 13. Boston gets a key hit from former Astro Carl Everett as they blank New York by a final score of 3-0. Big Moses Malone received the good news today. He has been recognized for being one of the hardest workers ever to play basketball. The former Rocket was voted into the Basketball Hall of Fame and will be inducted in October. Big Mo was one of the first players to skip college and head straight into pro basketball. He became a 12-time All-Star because of his relentless rebounding efforts, finishing 3rd in NBA history. But he also finished as the 5th leading scorer in the league.
I'm very honored that the commission, they voted me in today. I got a call this morning. It's a great feeling. I'm going to be there with a lot of great guys, a lot of Hall of Famers, and I'm looking forward to be there.
Duke coach Mike Krzyzewski and Temple coach John Chaney also voted in. It was a gutsy effort today at the French Open tennis tournament for 18-year-old American Andy Roddick. Winning in Houston just a few weeks ago looks like it gave him some confidence as he played Michael Chang. It was a marathon, at one point cramping up in sudden jerks of pain between points. The match lasted 3 hours and 50 minutes, and when Roddick had won the 5 sets, he shook hands with Chang. Off went the hat, and then he ripped off his shirt. He advances. NBA playoffs resuming tonight in the city of brotherly love, but it's anything but that in this series between the Bucks and the Sixers. Series tied at 2, and right now you can see it. Bucks leading the 76ers 82-78 in the 4th. An interesting story developing in the U.S. Women's Open Golf Tournament this week. Brenda Corey Keene is 8 months pregnant, plans on playing all 4 rounds. Her husband is her caddy, and for good reason. He's also her doctor as she tries to swing right here, and I guess she can use the old athletic adage when she hits a good shot, that a baby. Yeah, that a baby right there. What a story.
Good swing.
Good for her.
Thanks, Skip.
A creative race put some real spice into this schoolwork.
Yeah, see how bagels and bread really help these kids learn. Some teachers in Oregon have put a new spin on learning.
These culinary cars did more than just test the students' creativity.
Trying to convey the idea that physics is more than tedious calculations and guides in lab coats.
That's bagels and cream cheese. The project helped the students learn about balance and inertia. Also put a new spin on counting calories. The winning car was based on the weight of the car before and after the race. In other words, to see which cars had actually stuck together the best.
Looks good.
So you need peanut butter or something like the glue, or, ooh, that's a good one. A Reese's, do they eat the leftovers?
I don't know. It gives new meaning to eat and run.
Eat and drive.
Yeah.
In and out. See you later.
We're back here tomorrow. See you then. Sleep tight. The Late Show's coming up next.